I hate Thet, okay? I hate him.
It's a duck.
I'm so angry right now. He thought that we would meet at the Red Bridge near Lorong Halus. And I came all the way to Coney Island. And now he wants to walk from where he is and meet in the middle.
No unauthorized photography or filming. Yeah, or what? Ah!
I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die here. I'm gonna die here. I don't mean to be a scaredy cat. Holy shit, the sounds here are so loud.
This entrance.
So I heard him swishing around in the bushes. Coney Island don't have monster lizards, right? That said to give him 10 minutes. Yep. Oh, there he is.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. I'm wondering that myself. It's simple actually, it's Victoria's fault.
It's really not. Okay, if I say let's meet at Coney Island, then
It's Victoria's fault. I mean, how tough is it to find the right place to meet at Coney Island? How many Coney Islands can there be? Okay, fine, at least 2. There's the famous one in New York, you've probably heard of it. It's quite a bit more popular than ours. But if this is Coney Island, why is this also Coney Island?
Your hands are stupid.
My name is Thet. I'm a writer. I like to find out about stuff.
Is a banana a tree or grass?
This is Vic, my producer. She doesn't know a lot of stuff.
And then it's minimum, right?
minuman means drink.
We investigate,
The small Willy.
stop,
Oh,
search high and low
how do we know that?
to find answers to some silly questions.
So, chili crab is from robber crabs.
Why are they called sperm whale?
No matter how weird things get.
And when you turn off that microphone,
Wow, it's pouring.
Don't drink and drive. Oh, wow.
Do you have a pen knife?
Together, we deep dive into stuff we don't know about.
I hate that. Okay. I'm gonna die here.
You might not know about it too.
disgusting.
Now you do.
Diam-lah.
Remember that other time when Vic and I set off to Free Willy? We explored the wildly untouched land of Lorong Halus. Besides being the resting place of a false killer whale, it also serves as a 3-kilometer park connector between Pasir Ris and Punggol. And it connects to a small island just offshore called Coney Island.
Have you ever been to Coney Island?
No way, I've never been there before.
It's a well-known secret that Coney Island holds its fair share of weird things that seem out of place. Like the cow that used to live on the island. I wonder where it came from. But there's also this house hidden deep in the woods, completely out of sight. Unless you know where to look, of course.
You sure you wanna go in?
For that, let's take a look at the history of Coney Island and figure out what was the original Coney Island. Yeah, Singapore's Coney name was inspired by the New York one.
Yeah, the name thing I kind of understand, but once you take a look at this island, it's quite a bit less theme parky. So why that particular choice of name?
Well, it wasn't always named Coney Island. Formerly, it was known as Pulau Serangoon. The 32-acre-sized island was bought by the All brothers in 1936. You know, the Haw Par Villa guys? They bought it for about $12,500. They renamed it Haw Par Island and built this bungalow. After World War II, they sold the island to a Singaporean businessman called Gula Mahmud, who renamed it Coney Island.
Oh, that guy
And it was said that he tried to model it after New York's Coney Island.
Like a $100,000 holiday resort, which would include facilities for swimming, boating, fishing, all kinds of outdoor and indoor sports, a skating rink, a restaurant and a bar, a dance hall, some rooms to stay in, and 6 cottages for honeymooning couples. It looks like $100,000 went a bit further back then. But try as we might, we couldn't find a skating rink anywhere on the island.
So how did the resort go? It went okay?
Well, let's just put it this way. 4 years after that $100,000 facelift, a monkey was found starving on Coney Island. It could not find any food on the deserted island.
Dude, the sign says don't feed the monkey.
What sound? That's a chicken!
So what happened to our version of the world-famous theme park? Why isn't there a theme park at Coney Island now? Actually, what happened to Singaporean theme parks in general? Happy World, Great World, Tang Dynasty, Escape Theme Park. The last one was especially traumatizing for Vic because she's a Pasir Ris resident.
Hey,
But it's hard to think of any relatively large operational theme parks off the top of our heads. The only two we know are Wild Wild Wet in Pasir Ris
So do you bring your passport?
and Haw Par Villa in Pasir Panjang.
This is the plot to Park Life.
So grab your passports because we are going to Pasir Ris. Specifically, Wild Wild Wet.
Wild Wet is one of Singapore's largest water theme park. We've been open since 2004. Wild Wild Wet was about 2.4 hectares big and Escape Theme Park was about 3.1 hectares big.
For Escape Theme Park, it opens around 2000.
Wild Wild Wet opened in 2004 and then Escape Theme Park closed in November 2011 and then Wild Wet expanded again in 2017. Yeah.
What was the biggest hurdle or obstacles that you had to overcome recently?
I think when it comes to the COVID circuit breaker, the whole attraction services was impacted and I remember it being very busy trying to manage the capacity, trying to manage the queue lines.
Was there any major trouble that theme parks run into in Singapore?
Number one is manpower because over at water theme parks, we need skilled and technical workers, really the lifeguards and the technical. We are also some mechanical rides over here, more water rides, so we need those special skilled workers.
For Escape Theme Park, I think it's more of mechanical and the spare parts because most of it are from overseas.
And the other challenge will be the high operations cost in manpower and utilities.
Well, do you guys remember like an iconic ride from Escape Theme Park?
Pepsi Revolution
Revolution, inverter, go-kart, kite flyer.
and the haunted house.
What was the vibes back then?
Escape Theme Park was the go-to for every youth, every teen, every child in Singapore back then. I think a lot of people found their partners, in fact, in Escape Theme Park. There were many people who wanted to do like wedding photo shoots in Escape Theme Park because they met in Escape Theme Park. It was like a tempat cari jodoh, no? What is it called? So that was the vibe.
One of the things we are looking at is Coney Island, supposed to be a theme park at first. Do you think there's a good balance between things like theme parks and nature parks and things like that?
I think in terms of nature, there's plentiful in Singapore, such as the Bukit Timah, beaches, Pulau Ubin. So all this, I feel it complements the whole Singapore experience.
And nowadays, they are more demanding, like you.
That's true. I've been complaining this whole time.
Next, we head to Haw Par Villa.
This is the Empress Liberty.
All
The guy
these.
look like Liberty.
That.
Sang Nila Utama actually saw me one.
Despite working with each other, both Vic and I didn't know all that much about hell. So we met up with Eisen, Haw Par Villa's chief curator, to find out more.
Government can exhume the graves. Haw Par Villa was completed in 1937 and initially it was constructed as a villa and a sculpture garden around the villa named the Tiger Balm Garden. Haw Par Villa was revamped in the mid-80s and it reopened in 1990 at Dragon World. That was when the label theme park was attached to it. When Haw Par Villa was Dragon World, additional attractions were added to the historical gardens. An amphitheatre was built for performances and 2 water rides were also added, which were an initial hit with visitors.
Would you consider Haw Par Villa a theme park now?
I know the older generation of Singaporeans, especially those who have visited Dragon World, still see it as a theme park. We prefer to call it an Asian cultural park because we feel that label best reflects what Haw Par Villa is now. Dragon World failed only after 11 years because many visitors felt that marketed as a Chinese Disneyland, it had lost its original character and it was trying hard to be something it was not.
So, as a Asian cultural park, does Haw Par Villa face any challenges running as such?
One big challenge that Haw Par Villa faces now is that it has absolutely no conservation status and it sits on prime land in the southwest of Singapore near the Greater Southern Waterfront. Another challenge that we face, the park has to pay for itself. We have to pay significant rent to the state for the privilege of running this place. So the challenge is on us to create unique programs and offerings, must also generate revenue to pay operational costs of maintaining Haw Par Villa. I think recently Gurmeet Singh came back because he started his career in performance here. Yeah, he performed here.
Oh, really?
He performed here as a young artist.
I guess it's tough for theme parks to prosper. But limiting Coney Island to being just a failed theme park does it a great disservice. It is actually a failure at nearly everything. Here's the history of the island according to an NLB article. But this is just the tippity top of the iceberg. This is what most people know about Coney Island. And this is Coney Island's actual history. Very long. There were even plans at some point for the island to be a sanatorium for leprosy or tuberculosis-stricken patients. So why is Coney Island such a failure? Is it stupid? No, it's because it was shackled by terrible geographical limitations back in the late 1940s. No water, no shade, not big enough. So there you have it. Those were the main reasons why there was never a theme park there. It just wasn't built for it. From what we could gather online, the Thai businessman was the last private owner of the island. It was then taken over by PSA, then known as the Port of Singapore Authority, who had big plans for the island.
PSA wanted to expand the island by reclaiming 49 more hectares of land, along with creating a recreational resort with beaches, holiday resorts, and marinas. Oh wow, they really didn't learn from past mistakes, huh? At one point in time, PSA also had plans for Coney Island to join the mainland, but residents weren't really happy about that fact. It was part of the New Lungs initiative to help Singaporeans escape the increasingly crowded mainland. This was in 1974, by the way. But in true Coney Island fashion, none of these plans came to pass.
So why did these plans fall apart? We have some clues. Something to do with pollution mostly.
Minuman, they spell minuman like that. I didn't believe it.
That's how you spell minuman.
As in, it's minimum, right?
Minuman means drink.
Oh, it's only.
But while the $1 million resort didn't come to pass, one of their plans definitely took shape. Here's Coney Island on the 1945 map. Here it is now. Wow, a lot bigger, ah. But how much bigger is it exactly?
It's about 7 times bigger. It's now 247 acres.
And the lack of shade? No longer an issue as well. Trees everywhere. Also visit the Greater Shelford Tree. Water is a trickier issue, because Coney Island still does not have a water pipeline, but it does have a rather ingenious workaround.
Miss Kaltom from NParks will talk us through this and all things Coney. Oh yeah, did we mention that the island is now under NParks?
Continue. So Coney Island gives you that sense of tranquility, peacefulness, to be fully immersed in nature. It has that positive impact to your health. So this is what Coney Island can offer. It will be part of the development of the Punggol Estate, provides that green respite. You have that development over that side, and then you have this greenery, you know. So that's the intention. We want to keep it as rustic as possible. You have tall trees, have the meadows. Some of these plants, they grow by itself. But at the same time, we also try to curate in terms of the landscape. We also want to introduce back the native coastal species into Coney Island, a diversity of species of trees, and hopefully we are able to attract more biodiversity. We call it nature park lah.
Nature park.
Nature park.
It was almost a theme park.
Almost.
But
It didn't
now
happen.
it's-
Yeah, it
right,
didn't happen. Yeah.
Are there monitor lizards?
Monitor lizard, I think should have
here got.
Have.
Coney Island don't have monitor lizards, right?
Hey, you just mentioned the guy. See?
Oh, wait.
Ross.
Quick.
Monitor lizard.
One of the things that the previous theme park attempters tried to do was they had to ship the water across.
Yeah, because there's
nothing here.
nothing here. Even our toilets, the one that we have near the western entrance, that's also based on sustainable features. For example, rain harvesting, solar panel, because there's no pipe to pipe in the water.
Was that one of the reasons why these ventures failed?
I don't think I can answer that. Yeah, because it's not for me to say why they fail. Yeah.
So we have this amazing, relatively large rustic island with great shade, a decent amount of recycled water, and it's easily reachable from the mainland without needing private charter boats. The limitations that resulted in failure after failure appear to have been mitigated. Oh, what's this? A new theme park? Thet is the new outward bound Singapore, code for obstacle course fanatics. Theme parks seem to have a tough time sticking around on our little island. And those that are still around have had to adapt and change with the times. Likewise, Coney Island has come a long way from the 50s. Grandiose dreams of becoming some sort of theme park or super resort have fallen repeatedly by the wayside over the years. But maybe it's a good thing that we aren't overloaded with thrilling rides and leisure islands. Maybe it's good to have a place to get lost in, be an extra lung, a place to just take it easy and breathe.
Once Singapore government took hold, they actually consulted with like a lot of American firms to like better our tourist attraction. Even Disney came into the picture at one point of time.
They were trying to get the Disney Island up, right? As in they weren't trying, but there were talks.
Yeah.
Which is around
Between Yishun and Yio Chu Kang.